You know, it's kind of funny how everything works out. Firstly, before we get into the video, there is still a whole bunch of buzzsawing going on outside my apartment. Somebody's chopping up wood and they've been doing that all day. So it's the biggest reason as to why the videos are coming out a little bit later, because I want to wait until this guy stops so I can start recording my audio. Either way though, I wanted to talk about the Vancouver Canucks again because we have ourselves some more updates on Travis Hamonic, Quinn Hughes, and Elias Pettersson that aren't even really updates. They're just kind of what's going on right now, if you want to say that. Now, nothing is going on right now, and that in itself is the update, but this kind of falls into a bigger idea that I wanted to get into with the Vancouver Canucks over here, and Jim Benning specifically, because if we go over what exactly the newest scoops are on these players, let's go over firstly onto Vancouver Hockey Now. This is the same network of articles that come out for Boston and Pittsburgh and Colorado. There's a whole bunch of Hockey Now articles out there, and this one right here for Vancouver says that a source close to Hamonic says the Vancouver Canucks defenseman would now prefer playing in a U.S. market, and the Canucks are considering a trade. More games would be available without crossing the border. Report is he is not vaccinated, however, ironic considering his earlier career desires to move north. Now, I don't really know what exactly the source is here. It is difficult to comprehend because I do trust the Hockey Now list of articles. I do think they do provide valuable content. It's just this claim right here is a pretty bold one, and if it is true that he is unvaccinated, that actually was expanded upon in yesterday's video, so go ahead and check that out if you hadn't seen it yet, it would make a lot more sense if Hamonic was like, okay, I'd rather play in the US because with Canada, there's border travels, there's quarantines, it's a lot more of a difficult deal if you're a Canadian roster player who is not vaccinated, because Canadian teams cross the border a lot more than American teams do, and that's been the biggest holdup with this entire process over here with the vaccinations and the virus and all that. I'm not going to go out there and spout my own personal opinions on what you should do, but when it comes to the way that this situation has played out, if this is true, and I have to preface that by saying if, it would make so little sense to me, you know? Like, why would you even sign here if this would be the case? The only reason I could think of as to why Hamonic would sign with Vancouver, if this is true right here, is the signing occurred before the protocols of vaccinations came out, and therefore there wasn't an idea of quarantines and wearing masks and cross-border travel and fines and all that stuff, because it does exist. The NHL did put a very strict protocol in place for all that stuff. But at the end of the day, Hamonic is still not here in Vancouver. Based off of what Satyr Shah said on the radio as well, I find it tough to believe that we actually will see Hamonic suit up in a Vancouver Canucks uniform this season, but that is just one part of our discussion here today. Irfan Ghaffar had another update on Elias Pettersson and Quinn Hughes. Offers have gone back and forth, but I don't believe the Canucks and the parties are close. It's going to get to a point where the players tell their agents to just get it done. It hasn't happened yet. I'm told the Canucks have offered what they think is a lot of money for both. That was earlier today. And now when you take a look at everything and how it's come about with Hamonic and Quinn and Petey and everything that we have been kind of paying attention to during this Vancouver Canucks training camp and preseason period, you have to go out there and you have to ask a few things. This is what Rick Dollywell said earlier on Donnie and Dolly the other day. Jim did two things the night before training camp. He said that they're close with Petey and Hughes, and then he said that Hamonic is going to be here tomorrow. They're not close, and Hamonic didn't show up. So he kind of set the template for us to go and get information. This quote right here was in response to the idea that Benning said to the media where he was like, hey, stop asking about Hamonic, stop giving false information or spreading rumors about the guy, stop doing that, give the guy his privacy. And sure, Benning does have the right to go out there and protect his players from the big bad media that's always trying to huff and puff and blow your house down. That's fair. It's just, there's a reason why the media is doing this, dude. There's a reason why the media is so hard on Benning all the time. It's because of things like this. It's the inconsistencies. Earlier, before training camp, this is the quote that Benning had about Travis Hamonic a week ago on 650. He will join the team tomorrow. He had a reason to come a day late. He has to do a test when he lands. Will join the group once they get their test results. And like, what happened? The next day, he's not here, and all of a sudden we have rumors he's still in Manitoba. He is now wanting to apparently play for a U.S. team. Benning, dude! It's so... Hey, you just re-signed this guy. Earlier in the summer, you just signed him to another contract, and I don't know about you, but if I was an NHL GM or if I was an NHL player, I would want to have a sit-down talk with anybody that I was thinking about signing, might be close to signing, or re-signing as an RFA or UFA or whatever. Sit them down and ask them, okay, what do you want to do? What's your plan here? You want to play here? You want to play in the US? Are you comfortable with the rules that are probably going to be put in place when it comes to vaccines and protocols with the virus and all that stuff? Because, look, there are only 7 Canadian teams. There are so many other American teams, and when it comes to cross-border travel, this kind of thing was going to be a big issue. So if Vancouver signed Travis Hamonic without having those kinds of conversations, then what in the world, Benning? Come on. Like, it's just been a consistent path of difficulties in communicating with the media and actually having those communications living through in the organization. It was Toffoli, and it was Stetcher and Tanev and Markstrom, and how they wanted to keep these guys and how they weren't able to. Now it's this Travis Hamonic thing, and it's Petey and Hughes. Irfan Gaffar says you're not close. All the updates we have, it's not close right now. This was from earlier today, and Benning said a week ago, yeah, they'll be here because we are close. We are very close to signing these deals. It's just about the money, yada yada yada. Now they're skating around with Brady Tkachuk in Michigan. What's going on here, Benning? You know, this is like year 8. Year 8! The 8th year of Benning being in the seat right here, the driver's seat for the Vancouver Canucks. And I get it, he took over a bad team in 2014. That's definitely not going to be my main point of criticism over here. It's just, there was so much direction that this team was trying to go for in the mid-2010s that didn't work out ultimately. You had one playoff appearance, you got eliminated in the first round, okay, whoop-de-doo. But aside from that, everything that happened post-Sedins, it was always trying to build, build for the future, build for this competitive team that we're going to try to build to be a playoff contender. And it goes well in 2020 on paper. It does. Making the second round and being 10 minutes away from a third round appearance, that's not anything to scoff at. It's just, what happened after? What happened after was you saw a whole bunch of moves that were done, or the lack of moves thereof, I guess you would say, that Benning just couldn't answer to. Oh, we ran out of time with Toffoli. Yeah, that's my bad. You had 7 months to free up the money necessary to sign him. Now, you have Oliver Ekman-Larsson on the team instead. You had 1 more year of Eriksson and all those other guys you had to get rid of in order to free up the money to take on Oliver Ekman-Larsson's cap space for the next 6 years. And for what? If Ekman-Larsson does not rebound, this entire experiment is going to be all for naught. It's been high-risk, high-potential reward kind of moves that Benning has made. It's just so unfortunate that the past few years, with the Goodbransons and with trading away McCann and with Toffoli and with signing Virtanen instead, all this stuff has been so, worst-case scenario, on paper, the roster that the Vancouver Canucks have right now, if they all play to their maximum capacity, should be pretty good. They could be a fantastic team if everybody plays to their ceiling. It's just not guaranteed in the slightest for that to happen. Especially now, when you have a team that's lacking their 2 best players and will most likely not get any games out of Travis Hamonic. $3 million extra. What are we going to do with that? We gotta wait a little bit more, don't we? I said this in the previous video as well yesterday. I'm honestly kind of okay with the idea of Hamonic not coming back because I really like Luke Schenn. I know a lot of people in the comments disagreed with that because Luke Schenn is Luke Schenn of all people, but I don't know, man. In my mind, you play him with Hughes, he does well. He does everything he needs to do while being Quinn Hughes' partner. But ultimately, when it comes to the way this team has been assembled, it's just been a complete mess. And I know Jim Benning drafts well. He does. A lot of that had to do with the scouting staff behind him, but still, Benning was the guy that made the call. But is that enough? Has it been enough? It's been 8 years. He came in at the 2013-14 season, so that's year one, we'll say year one, and now he's starting out the 2021-2022 season. Sure, I get it, it was 7 years ago that he got hired, but this is the 8th year now that he's going to be the guy, and he just took a huge risk in acquiring OEL, to the point where now it's like Petey, Hughes, Hamonic, all this stuff, it's not done when he said it was going to be done, and, you know, can you even be surprised at this point? Talk to me in the comments, what do you think about this entire video? Hope you enjoyed this video. Josh Wilson 99, and bye.